At least this orange shirt pops.
Sure does.
So these things are recording now? Yeah.
Yeah, I hit record as well. It was slick the way you showed me. You just like can line up the audio waveform.
Oh, yeah.
And then, bam, it's done.
And you can do it down to like a microsecond, basically.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so I could take this video and take this audio file and, yeah, just put them on top of each other.
Slick.
But, I guess it's October 4th. It's 5:25 p.m. here in the Eastern time zone. And, yeah, October 4th, 2024. See, I don't even remember what year it is these days.
It's 2024. Fucking A. It's a stupid election year.
Oof. I want to see if I look cool in the headphones. But I can't see that far anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Nope.
I don't even know if the headphones are working, but...
Well, that's what I was wondering for you.
Do they have to be on? Let me see.
Oh, I don't know. Because you should be able to hear me loud and clear. Yeah. If you want more volume, it can go up, it can go down. However you want it.
I'll have to think about it.
Yeah. If you decide 20 minutes in to ditch headphones, ditch headphones.
It's like, I can hear you in real time, and then I can hear you again over the... So there's like a little bit of reverb. So,
interesting.
But today, got the Avo... I don't even know how you pronounce this. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it, but... it's like the orange Avo. Fogata? Avo from Nicaragua. Good cigars. Nate has the...
It's the...
Drew Estate Undercrown.
Undercrown. I believe it's grown in northern Canada.
It's grown in...
the Yukon territory.
I grow those in my backyard.
Yeah. Shade grown, right? Shade grown.
So
I am gonna just slightly.
How does the audio sound? I
Good.
Guess if I am gonna edit any of this, it'll definitely be this this area where we're still trying.
Yeah, and this would be the time because I just increased the preamp for this because the waveform was tiny.
Little, yeah.
So if you were to use it straight away, you would notice that it's quiet for the first 3 or 4 minutes and suddenly it becomes louder.
Smoking cigars during the day. Like I can't even... Torch flame is invisible.
Outside in the sunlight. I'm like, you've had to have smoked a cigar during the day, but maybe you were in a darkly lit bar. Yeah,
and hopefully if you are smoking one during the day, you're on a brightly lit beach or something like that. Hopefully in the Caribbean, maybe the Mexican Riviera, who knows.
All places I've never been.
There you go. Caribbean is, I feel like everyone can get to the Caribbean. If you live on the west coast of the United States, yeah, obviously, or I mean, if you live in the Southern California, Arizona, Nevada,
right?
Nevada, I mean, Mexican Riviera is not that far from you. To get from Michigan to Southern California, kind of annoying airfare-wise, but it's not impossible. You could fly from Michigan to Florida, like Miami in 2.5 hours. Whereas Michigan to like Los Angeles is like a 5-hour flight. I don't know.
Yeah, we went to Portland. Gosh, when the fuck was that? But that was like 5.5 hours.
I have the soft torch also, if you want to use that. I always keep forgetting to... I should probably be trying to speak into the mic, but... it worked last time. What can you do?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go... Do you want like a rocks glass? I think I'm going to go get a rocks glass to pour bourbon. So.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. I'll be right back. go quickly because I feel like pausing it, unpausing it is annoying. I can just edit it out in post-production.
For those of you who have not been keeping up, this is our second podcast in as many years, meaning it's been 2 years since the previous podcast. Now you're caught up. I feel like your neighbor will be roofing their house this entire time.
It's like, oh, please. Please roof your house during the podcast.
We've been here setting up for like an hour and there wasn't a single thud. Come home from work and just start roofing.
What can you do? When I come home from a busy day of podcasting, I like to sit back and podcast some more and drink some Maker's Mark.
The finest Maker's Mark.
Not a sponsored video.
Yet.
Yeah.
It's exactly what Maker's Mark needs. More middle-aged white men promoting their product.
I feel like we are the target demographic for
100%.
Older millennials. Wait, I mean, you are. I remember you're not significantly younger than me, but
No,
younger.
no. What's the millennial cutoff? 1980?
81.
81? Yeah. So I'm just past that.
Close, yeah. Okay.
Or inside of that.
I am also a young guy.
Feeling young as I could be.
Oh, cheers again.
Absolutely.
Cheers again to biannual podcasting.
While you were away, I updated our audience that this is our second podcast in as many years.
So if we do one,
For those of you who've not been keeping up.
for all 35 of the previous listeners.
Oh, we had 35 plays? It's impressive. Somebody sat through that for 2 hours?
I don't think anyone finished it. I mean,
Right.
I didn't go through and study the analytics too closely.
I remember, I don't know if it was when we went to Ryan's birthday party, but I had seen Ryan again, and he was like, so how often do you podcast? He thought this was just like what I did for a hobby, and I was like, oh, no. No, I'm just, I make music, and it's just ancillary that we could also do this.
Mm-hmm.
Is ancillary even the right word?
As we have the cricket chirping and we have the neighbor re-roofing his house, there is one thing I can control. There is one variable. I can turn off my air conditioner.
I didn't even hear it
Yeah.
until you said it.
And I did have it on 71, but I'm turning. All right, set it to 78. There you go.
Now
That thing sounds like crap.
That's something that people don't really, or never did before in Michigan. Your air conditioner running in fucking October.
Yeah, I know, right?
Although I guess for me it's cheaper to run the AC than it is my furnace, like substantially.
Mine is the opposite, actually. My furnace is like my AC was like $300 a month basically this summer. It was ridiculous. And my house is only like 1,000 square feet.
My house is the same size, but I have a boiler with baseboard heating. Some people say that's supposed to be more efficient, but I don't think so. Because that winter for me is like $300, $325. Summertime I pay about $200. Do you pay DTE or do you pay consumer?
I got DTE for electric and consumers for gas.
Nice.
Seeing like the ambient noise from the passing traffic was getting annoying, so I had to switch back to my headphones. Like I couldn't hear shit.
Yeah.
So that's good that I know our audio is separate. So, I mean, if I was using the audio off the camera, it's going to be trash, obviously.
Yeah. Right. This being directional and more sensitive, right? It's not picking all that up.
So I made a list of topics. Please pause and zoom in. Just kidding.
Pause in 5, 4.
But basically, I think a good segue basically for between the podcast and my travel channel would be to like kind of like do like a recap of my past 3 trips, which were kind of like bucket list trips for me. If we go in reverse chronological order, it would be Japan, then to Hawaii, then to Alaska. So
Yes. I remember we chatted a bit about your Alaska trip. Maybe that's when we were at Ryan's party.
yeah.
So I remember that one. I remember watching those vlogs. I actually don't know.
You're like, I haven't subscribed to the channel yet.
Look, I only promote myself. No. The Alaska vlogs are actually really cool. I remember watching those. I don't remember seeing the Hawaii ones, and the Japan ones just got up.
Yeah, I'm not even done. Like, there's so much Japan content. I'm on like day 3 of the cruise in video editing. Amari, Japan, which was technically like day 7 of the trip, but it was actually like the first festival. But it was a 10-day cruise, and I flew into Tokyo 5 days earlier. I lost 13 hours to the time difference between Detroit and Tokyo. Then, also the flight was like 13 hours long, so in total lost 26 hours. So I flew on August 1st at like 2 p.m. Flight number 275, Delta 275. Yeah, it's the same flight because it's the same flight every single day from Detroit to Japan.
Holy shit.
275 is the one that goes Tokyo to Detroit nonstop, and 276 is the flight that goes from Tokyo to Detroit nonstop. So yeah, I only memorized the flight numbers because I was like price shopping that flight for around 6 months to a year. I booked the cruise 2 years previous to the vacation, and it fluctuated a lot. I would say it probably averaged like around $2,000 for the flight, but I ended up getting it for just a little over $1,000. No, wait, I actually got it under $1,000. I got it for $935 because I couldn't get nonstop on the way back, so I had to connect through Atlanta. But yeah, it kept the flight at like $935, which is ridiculous for flying to Japan.
Proof that every flight to Detroit or from Detroit connects through Atlanta.
Oh yeah.
It's like Atlanta, Houston, or Denver. I've connected through Chicago before too.
Yeah.
Like flying to bumfuck Kentucky. You go from Detroit to Chicago to bumfuck Kentucky.
Yeah. My neighbor just got back from Kentucky, the Bourbon Trail, but yeah.
So 3 trips in: Japan, Hawaii, Alaska. I guess we'll start with this question first. Which one were you anticipating the most?
Japan.
Now, which one held up the most?
Japan.
Japan really?
Is like extreme. Like, I mean, Tokyo was extremely cool. So I mean, I lost 26 hours on the way in. So technically, I got there on Friday night, August 2nd. Friday night, got there, checked into the hotel. I couldn't even like sleep on the flight. I tried. I couldn't. So we went out. We met up with a friend who, my other friend who was with us. His friend came and met up with us, and we went out. And I was basically up to like 2 or 3 a.m. in downtown Tokyo. And I didn't get over the jet lag until like maybe like day 5 or 6 of the cruise. Like day 5 or 6 of the trip, not of the cruise. But yeah, the jet lag was atrocious. It was real bad.
Damn. What is the complete time difference?
I mean, with the flight and the
time here right
hours.
now, time
yeah.
here there.
It's 13 hours earlier. So it would be. It's like 4:39 a.m. in Tokyo right now on the day before. Well, no, same day technically.
Tomorrow. No, same.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Wait, no.
It's tomorrow. It's tomorrow over there. I have no idea.
Now you messed me up, but I'm pretty sure Detroit. Oh wait, so when you're going to the future, yeah, you're right. It's 13 hours forward. Yeah, so it is. It would be 4:39 a.m. on. It's Friday here on Saturday
Saturday.
morning. And when you fly back, what's really interesting, it's a 13-hour flight, but it's a 13-hour time difference. So I left on August 15th at like 4 p.m. The flight landed at August 15th at 4 p.m. Yeah, it is weird. It's weird to think about that. Yeah.
I don't have that many brain cells left. Sad to say.
Let me double. Oh, it's recording. He was like, it's probably a good thing to verify.
It's not recording. We're just seeing ourselves on.
Yeah, we're just seeing ourselves on the. Okay, it's recording. On the live, on the viewfinder. Is that what they call it these days? Yeah, I guess. On the Sony Handycam. It's a Canon PowerShot Mark II G7X. G7X Mark II.
Nice.
Ancient and obsolete, but I still find some use for it.
Absolutely.
My neighbor's chimney is blocking the sun from my face for at least the next 2 minutes before I can start tanning again out here. But no, we're going to hit golden hour during this podcast. All right, so where was I? Japan.
Japan.
So Japan was like, I was like watching a commercial during football or something, and it shows a guy like, it's like a Nike commercial. He's like running around Japan, and the traffic, like the traffic signals or whatever, they have like a very distinct like beeping sound, and I heard it, and I was like, that was so nostalgic. It reminded me of Tokyo instantly. And like, yeah, it's like I looked on the video, and I was like, oh, the guy is like in Tokyo, so that was pretty cool. Like very unique. Like I would say like big things that were like shocking for like a tourist from the Midwest, like the convenience store, the whole convenience store game there is like nothing like ours. Like
in what way?
Like super more advanced. Like people get like sushi and stuff there. Like they have hot food. Like I'm saying, they have 3 main ones. It was 7-Eleven, Family Mart, and what was the other one? But 7-Eleven and Family Mart. In like one of my vlogs, I go over the numbers. Like they have like a ridiculous number of 7-Elevens in Japan. Like at least 10,000. And I mean, Japan's a pretty big country. I mean, it's not like,
yeah, sure.
I think
Lots
square mileage, it's supposed to be like the size of Michigan or something. I mean, I don't, maybe bigger than that. But
Is there more than one island?
oh yeah, it's a bunch of islands. It's kind of,
I know it's like narrow and long.
It's kind of like
but,
a banana in the ocean with a bunch of other islands.
Right, but like when you just look at it like on a globe or a world map, it's really tough to get scale, right? Like if you were to zoom in and measure it north to south, east to west, it's probably far bigger than you would think.
Yeah, I just saw like a graphic where it showed like a Japan superimposed over a map of Europe, and know, Japan was like almost like the whole size of Europe, not like square mileage, but just like lengthwise.
Right.
Like it's definitely not the size of Europe.
Clearly.
But yeah, the convenience store game was like extremely good. Like there's all sorts of interesting things. Like you can drink everywhere. Like the drinking culture in Japan is like everyone drinks. Like around here, like the millennials, we drink. We do some work. Gen Zs, Gen A's probably aren't even of drinking age yet. So
No.
But I mean, I would say the vast majority of millennials drink. But I feel like in Japan, everyone drinks. And a lot of people smoke also. But their smoking culture is like, you can't just like walk around and smoke a cigar in public like you could around here. They have like smoking, like basically smoking cages outside. But they're like super packed all the time. You can't, most states in the U.S. have marijuana products legal now. THC is still illegal in Japan, but instead they have places pushing CBD as like CBD pens, like kind of like as the weed pens in the U.S.
Yeah.
People do those, but again, the people in Japan are also super polite, so they don't walk around and smoke them on the streets. They smoke them in those, whatever you call those.
Smoking cages.
Yeah, smoking cages. I can't think of anything like, and it's not like in the U.S. where like they might just like tape it off. They have like walls basically, so it's like
There's a few bars around here when they changed the smoking law that they built an enclosure on the side and put heaters in it, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Those are the best bars, because you can usually smoke cigars in there, too. Yeah, Japanese people are super polite. Like, basically, another, like, culture shock kind of thing is, in the United States, you know, there's, like, trash cans everywhere. Like, in Japan, if you go in... So you can, so when I was getting into alcohol before, you can buy a beer at a Family Mart or a 7-Eleven with the exchange rate. Like, what are the beers' names? Jeez.
I know of Sapporo.
Whatever. You buy one of these beers. They're like 150 yen, 200 yen. The exchange rate currently is like 150 yen to $1. So you're getting these beers for like $1. You can drink them like wherever you want. You're not supposed to drink on the subway or the trains technically, but that didn't stop me. But like, so we would go in there, buy a couple beers, and then sit out on like on the stairs outside of like Family Mart or 7-Eleven and just drink beers. And you could do that, like, so you're drinking beers for like $1. So one of the problems, like, so if you're doing this and you have to, you're gonna start accumulating empties. If you're at the 7-Eleven or the Family Mart, you can take your empties in there. But if you're walking around and drinking, there are no trash cans anywhere. No trash cans, no recycling bins, anywhere. You might be lucky if you find one behind one of the many vending machines. So yeah, outside of the convenience stores, the vending machine game is insane, obviously. Like, they're like everywhere.
I remember hearing years ago, even as like a teenager, like, oh, Japan, they have beer and vending machines.
I never saw any beer in vending machines. I never saw any women's underwear in vending machines. It was pretty much just just like, they'd have a caffeine kind of vending machine that sold like 10 different green tea products. Green tea is super popular in Japan. So yeah, might even have more than 10 different green tea drinks. Have a bunch of coffee, little coffee like espresso kind of things. And then you'll have another one that's like sugar drinks, like pop, soda, Gatorade, like, and all sorts of things you like, things that look like bottled water. And I was like, after the bar one day, I thought I was buying a bottle of water, and I drank it, and I was like, oh, it was like some nasty, like super sugary Gatorade.
Oh, no.
I believe that one was called, there's so many of them, but one of the drinks name is called Pockery Sweat. It's like literally sweat, like SWEAT, and
it's
nasty. Like one of their Gatorade drinks, but it was gross. But some of their drinks were, yeah, I mean the green tea stuff. It's that one really big brand name of green tea. It's the same one in the U.S., but
Lipton.
they do not Lipton, but.
I don't drink tea at all, hardly. I mean, every once in a while I'll go on a kick for like 2 weeks and drink chai or even green tea sometimes, like with the dried fruit that's in it or whatever, but I'll buy a couple boxes, drink half of each, and then not touch them for 3 years. I do the same with coffee. I don't drink coffee every day.
Yeah, I used to drink a lot of coffee. Not anymore. It's like, I used to have a tolerance to caffeine. I swear, I have like half a cup of coffee, I'll start to like get a mild headache. I feel like I'm just old man.
It just gives me jitters.
Yeah. I was gonna put my visor of my cap in front of my eyes, but it's like, oh, I don't have a cap.
That's a move I do when I'm high a lot. Like if I get stoned, I always feel like I'm wearing a hat and I try to take it off. There's no hat.
Maybe I should get my bucket hat. I don't know. Well, alright, as long as I position the bucket hat on an appropriate cap, the 2012 Tigers away hat from the World Series, last World Series appearance. But,
gosh, 12 years ago, eh?
If you could say you could get to the World Series once every 12 years, that doesn't sound too bad.
No, it's just all the things in between those two appearances that can make it really bad.
Yeah.
Like if we were still had a reasonably good team in between, that would be great, but you know, until this year, even the year before, I mean, I don't even want to say it.
I mean, the Detroit Tigers are like my favorite franchise probably of all sports, but once we got to those Osmus years and we were shitty. It was really hard to stick. I mean, I still pay attention to how bad we are, but
So the problem with MLB, or at least the Detroit Tigers, is how it's broadcast and aired on television.
yeah, terrible.
Like, I'm not going to spend the money for cable television to get Bally Sports Network to watch a team lose 100 times a year.
Yeah, how they pimped it out like that is embarrassing.
No. So that's the sad part of it. Otherwise, like, yeah, I always try to keep up.
And like even when I was like really, really, really big into the Tigers, like I would go to like the majority, like I would go to as many home games as possible. Me and my friend Dave would go to like 30 games a year, you know. And like I have tickets to the ALDS on Wednesday. Tigers are currently we just swept the Astros in the wild card. And game 1 of the ALDS series versus the Cleveland Guardians is tomorrow at 1. So yeah, we have that series, game 1 on Saturday, game 2 on Sunday, then game 3's on Wednesday in Detroit. So, but yeah, I bought those tickets. Like,
Is this series a best of 5 or best of 3?
best of 5, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
That's what I thought.
yeah. Because there's like technically it was 3. Like I might not even
Not even make it.
Get eliminated before that.
Right. Because I didn't know the wild card was only a best of 3. It makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Because I know recently some of the sports leagues have been trying to make games faster, make playoffs faster.
They did it. To
Like hockey is only a best of 7 once you get to the World Cup, maybe. Or maybe it's best of 7, but the wild card would be a best of 3 or best of 5, right? But they started shortening some of those lengths, speed it up. I know baseball, the MLB has done a lot of work to make games go faster.
Oh yeah.
I did watch a couple weekend games of the Tigers this year because they aired on regular television, like a Saturday afternoon, and just be shocked that the game's over in 2 hours and 5 minutes. All right. Because we do this for a living, we only fucked up once.
Yeah.
It's not like we've deleted 2 takes in between.
Yeah. My Canon PowerShot will only let me do 30-minute clips of video, which I don't understand why. I mean, that would be, but I guess that's just what the consumer wants. So,
It's probably something stupid like it can only write a file so big to the disk before it, has to just stop. I don't know.
Some sort of dumb reasoning. Well, if you need more bourbon or
I appreciate that.
Or whatever.
I'm gonna try to keep my cool and make it home later.
Fair enough.
So tomorrow, so interesting that the Tigers play tomorrow at 1 o'clock. As we had stated earlier, you may or may not have seen that.
The Cleveland Guardians.
Yeah. My neighbor's a big Tigers fan. Like, we listened to a game one day together before they had actually clinched the playoffs, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And he invited me this Saturday to go to as I describe it, an amateur wrestling event.
Oh, shit. The Lucadors or whatever you call it.
Yeah, I mean, it's that style, like WWE style wrestling. It's at the county fairgrounds, but it's at 3 p.m. tomorrow. And I know he's a huge Tiger fan, so I don't know what if we're still going or not. But he was like, tickets are only $10. Let's go. I was like, sure, $10. I've never been. It sounds wild. So we'll find out.
I've seen the amateur wrestling things set up, like at festivals, but I've never attended. But I know for the ones like the luchador or whatever you call them, or those guys, like they can't take off their mask until they lose, or there's so I don't know the exact culture or whatnot. But.
Yeah. Hold on. I got the flyer. He texted it to me. It's the MPWA Championship rematch, and it's Freedom Ramsey is going against Chuck Cold in the title fight, and then you've got Alex Van Zant versus Atlas Hightower. And then you've got a tag team match, Studio 806 versus Open Challengers. So I'm really excited about that. Are they just going to get two people out of the crowd to go wrestle? They can't. Like, the whole thing is staged and choreographed.
Open Challengers. Maybe the Open Challengers are also staged, but
They just keep it a secret because they probably haven't booked their official. They're like, well, we don't know if Steve can show up in Ann Arbor on Saturday, so why don't you get Steve, John, and Tim, and then if Steve shows up, you can fill out your ballot or whatever.
I'm sure
I don't know.
You can get Hulk Hogan these days for a good deal. Like, he was just like in downtown Royal Oak promoting he had some beer.
Hulk Hogan makes beer.
Yeah, he has a beer. It's a beer he was promoting.
Who doesn't? Well, I don't.
Soon. But yeah, we were talking about before the audio got messed up. Basically, the baseball games, they went from being like 3.5 hours to being 2 hours max. And mainly it's because of people's just ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
Like, most people get bored. Like, I don't get bored. Like, when I go to watch a baseball game, first of all, I'm not watching it on TV. I go watch them in person in like downtown Detroit on a nice sunny day, get some $15 beers and bag of peanuts and just like sit back and enjoy the nice weather. We have we have an open all weather, a fully exposed stadium there, which usually is not a problem. But I have been to
only in April.
Oh yeah, in April it snowed in Comerica Park during the game. But I've also been there in late, maybe it was an ALCS game. I swear there were like flurries. So it can snow in Michigan in October. And it's
Absolutely.
October 4th, and it's clearly like 75 degrees right now. But it can get bitterly cold. But yeah, it's been unseasonably warm in Michigan this last, all of September. It was very warm.
Yep.
It was actually like, not only was it warm, it was a drought. It was like one of the driest Michigan Septembers on record. My grass was barely holding on at all, but
Yeah, I didn't mow my grass for a very long time, but then we had a couple weeks of rain, and I still haven't mowed it. But I'm going to have to because the leaves are about to fall.
Oh, yeah.
And raking leaves out of tall grass is the worst.
Oh, yeah,
So I'm thinking maybe Sunday, going to my parents' house for lunch, but I might in the morning get up, mow it late morning.
And you got probably 10 times worse surface area.
It's almost a full acre. And my riding mower broke 2 years ago, so I'm pushing it.
My yard is the size of a postage stamp, literally I think it's 3,000 square feet or something ridiculously small.
I'm actually very jealous of that. When I bought my house, I was like, sweet, I got this huge yard. I got a full acre. Fast forward 15 years, I'm like, what the fuck? No kids, I don't even have a dog to run in the yard.
I mean, I do understand, having a lot of land is obviously much better, but
Yeah, it's desirable, but still.
maintenance, though,
Yeah.
becomes an issue. On a lawn this size, you can get one of those small bags of fertilizer. You can, I can weed it by hand, whereas it's not pleasant to weed it by hand, but if you do the right weed control, you'll be fine.
Yeah. You could put down a little bit of the weed and feed, and then if stuff still sprouts up, you could walk out there, just pluck it.
Another thing is since the last podcast, I became a father now, so I stopped using pesticides and fertilizers and stuff, as long
Fair.
as I have my daughter running around in my yard. So
Right, yeah, their first 3 to 4 years, they pretty much live on the ground.
yeah, she probably just don't want her eating handfuls of weed and feed off the grass.
It's good for them, causes the tism.
Yeah. Is that a growth spurt? No.
Anyways, I want to get back to travel. So, aside from the convenience store game and the booze game being different, what else really made Japan over the top? Why was it so much better than say Hawaii, where everyone, well, not everyone, but I'm sure most speak English? and you're still in America, right? Like I have a fear of like going to foreign countries, not being able to communicate with anybody, and ending up in jail.
Yeah. So before I even get into it, Japan and Hawaii, like Hawaii actually was probably a great country to visit before, because you get tons of Japanese tourists in Hawaii. So it's kind of like the halfway point. So Hawaii is surprisingly Japanese. Like there's a lot of similarities, but you know what's also funny? Well, it's from the convenience store thing. Hawaii has some of the Japan-style 7-Elevens, and I think they even have a Family Mart. And what was the name of that one store? I have a vlog about this one store because it's fucking insane. Oh, Mega Donkey. It's called
Mega Donkey.
It's called Donkey is like it's called Don Quixote, kind of like the guy who fought the windmills.
Yeah.
But they call it Mega Donkey. Well, they call it's Don Quixote, but the big store is called Mega Don Quixote because it's a 7-8 story like monstrous store that sells everything. Like I went there like 4 different times. Like I was.
It's like a multi-story Buc-ee's.
I mean, it's like mind-blowing. Like they sell alcohol, they sell everything. So another thing that's crazy about Japan is like super liberal on alcohol. They're also like super liberal on like sex stuff there. Like I mean, I was like, just like I don't know, it's weird. Like it's, in comparison to the United States, like just like much more liberal.
Like how? Like there's.
All right, so they have love hotels that are basically designed for people who are renting them by the hour to get prostitutes, because prostitution is apparently legal in Japan. Like I don't do any of that stuff, but
right.
I mean it was like there were areas where like their red light district basically like and I was like, only because we had some friends that were with us that knew, and I was like, my hotel was actually, it wasn't a love hotel, but it was in the area. When I was like booking it, I was like, this seems pretty cheap. I mean, it wasn't that cheap, don't get me wrong. It was like $200 a night, but like it was like definitely in like the shadier area, which is fine. Like, and when I say shady, like even the shadiest part of Japan is like, I'm not saying the best part of Detroit, but
yeah, I get it, or I can imagine it.
Yeah, it's like I never felt scared anywhere in Japan, like the entire time, like all over the entire country. But I'm like, Tokyo, you would think, major city, largest city in the world, population
yes,
of like 38 million or something, like something absolutely ridiculous. Like
it's like 2 New York cities, literally.
It's like literally like it's at least twice the size of New York City. Yeah, it's crazy.
The population definitely is. New York City is somewhere around like 18 or 20 million.
Yeah, and
with all the boroughs and everything added up.
I'm pretty sure Tokyo's like 38 something million, but it's broken up into different call them like prefectures. So let me try to think about this. Like Tokyo, like Shibuya City is where we stayed. Shinjuku is another like area, like just a bunch of if I was more sober and hadn't drank, like I could break this down a little better for you. But when I do the vlogs, I like, I've got
right, like those details would be there.
And,
yeah.
But it's broken up to all these different regions. And we were originally booking the trip, we were trying to decide between Shibuya City, which is like the very like when you think of Tokyo, it's like Tokyo, like skyscrapers, like bright lights, like crazy,
like the Times Square type of style.
Like it's like Times Square times like much greater. Shibuya City crossing is that huge intersection where it just gets like tons of tourists. So the other area was Shinjuku, and I really knew nothing. I tried to do as much research as possible, which didn't end up being much as per usual.
I'm gonna research
Shinjuku
this.
is like more shady. Like it's still very nice, but it's not as nice as Shibuya City. It's very close. I'm not shitting on Shinjuku, but Shinjuku also had the area which was called Golden Gai, which was an area with these super small bars. Like, and I'm saying super small. Some of these bars could only have 4 patrons. Like, they're literally smaller than a shed. Like, most of them are the size of this deck, honestly. Like, I'm not even bullshitting. Like, look it up. Golden Gai, Gai. Like,
that sounds like so bars in Italy, they use the word bar instead of cafe.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like that. But in Italy, like, You don't sit down and drink a coffee for 20 minutes. They literally pour you like an espresso. You give them your dollars. You shoot it back like a shot, and then you walk away. Like, you're not hanging out.
These areas, like, some of them have cover charges, like, to get in. Japan, it's like, because I guess if they didn't have cover charges, like, one person could go in there and, like, tie up the whole bar and ruin the bartender's whole night. Some of the bars have, they have the cover charge. Some of them are, like, they have, like, one thing that was common, like, all over Japan, not just in Tokyo, which was, like, for 2,000 yen, which, if you do the 150 to 1 exchange rate, comes out to, like, $13 or something. You could do all you can drink for $13.
What?
US. Yeah, I'm not even fucking with you.
Now,
So as soon as, when we got there the first night, I did it, like, and I had, like, 4 or 5 drinks.
okay.
And,
I mean, that's
one of them's,
respectable.
like, an IPA, like, but...
It's not like you went in there and had, like, 15.
Yeah, I feel like they don't, at least I didn't see anyone is drinking it. I feel like American binge drinkers drink a lot harder than Japanese binge drinkers. But
Yeah, that's exactly where my brain went. Like, no one in America would ever offer that.
yeah, because they would get ruined.
Either that or the police would be like, you cannot do this.
Yeah, because people would be like falling over. Like most of the time, I pretty much everyone was polite. Pretty much, I mean, in Tokyo, there's like a lot of tourists. To be fair.
Sure.
And even when I wasn't in Tokyo, like I went to Amari. All right, I'm not even gonna remember the name. Like, if you've seen the list of the vlogs, you'd know. But
We're gonna put the
five points. Yeah.
the vlogs will be in the link below,
Probably not, but
or right
they'll
right
be,
here,
If you click on,
or over here.
if you click on, there's Alan Carter Travel. If you click there, it'll take you back to my channel page, and the Japan vlogs will be there. And then you can, like, the vlog series I'm working on now is Amori, Aomori, and I'm working on the 3rd vlog for just that day. Like, so much shit happened just in that day that it has 3 separate vlogs. But it was a major festival that day in Amari. The whole theme of the cruise was for the Japan Nabuta festivals. Nabuta, well, the Japan summer festivals. This one in particular was a Nabuta festival, which means drowsy in Japanese. I only know this because I just edited the last vlog like a couple days ago. But basically, Nabutas are these giant wooden floats. They're wooden and paper, and they light up at night. And they basically carry them around the streets of Amari, and they're insane. Like, watch that vlog, like, or Google Amari Summer Festival or Amari Nabuta Festival. It's definitely impressive. Like, they say something like, yeah, hundreds of thousands of people come into Amari to see this festival every year.
Are you saying Buddha as in like Buddhism?
Oh, Nabuta, like Nebuta.
Okay, completely separate.
Yeah.
All right, that's not what I heard. So that's why I was kind of confused.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah,
I'm like, I didn't know Japanese
Japan.
practiced the Buddhism religion. I thought they were Shinto or something.
Yeah, I didn't see. Oh, there were shrines and temples and monasteries and stuff, but me as an alcoholic, I still was like walked by cultural. I mean, I went to a castle. I went to Kochi Castle in Kochi, Japan. Was it Kochi? I mean, I at least went to Kochi Castle. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kochi was one of my stops. You can really tell all this culture sticking.
It's sunk in. Really changed your life.
No, I mean, but no, Japan, like, I could do like an entire podcast of like this, just like, I could do a series of podcasts just only recapping Japan.
Yeah. So obviously you've done a lot of traveling in the last 2 years. You've had 3 major trips at least. I went to Italy a month after our first podcast.
Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Yeah, and that was the first
cool.
time I had been out of the U.S. aside from Canada, which doesn't really count when you live in Michigan, right?
Yeah, we don't consider.
Yeah,
we don't consider Canada traveling.
Especially the generation we're from, where like we used to go to Windsor at age 19 to party.
Yeah, we used to party there because of the age difference. You can drink in Windsor at 19, whereas in Michigan it's 21.
Right. So, but like young kids, Gen Z, like they just don't drink. Like,
yeah, no one.
I remember asking my niece; she just turned 19. I was like, "So you're gonna go to Windsor?" She was like, "Why?" Like, never mind. Sorry, I asked.
It's gone downhill massively, also. But yeah,
Windsor.
Story.
Yeah. Have you looked at house prices in Windsor? Open up your Zillow app and go look around Windsor. Like an 800 square foot home is like $500,000.
Yeah. Shit.
American dollars.
That's crazy.
It is. Anyways, so I went to Italy. We flew into Milan. So this is like northwest Italy. Flew into Milan and drove down towards Pisa. I forget the name of the village we stayed in. We stayed in this little village, and then we would drive to other cities. We went to Pisa, Florence, somewhere else. I don't remember. But it was a good trip. Like, it definitely quelled a lot of the worries that I have about traveling internationally. Like, people were nice. Way more people spoke English than I thought they would. And I learned a few things, like, you know, I can't even remember now. Ciao, and then arrivederci, like you say goodbye. Arrivederci. Right. So I learned some of that, but it was a good experience. I don't think I want to go back to Italy per se. Something that did catch me off guard is literally pizza is as stereotypical there as you would think. Everyone sold pizza. But there were no convenience stores. There was no, like, gas stations there literally didn't have attendants. They were just pumps with credit cards. Like, very different from Japan.
Style, yeah.
But when you're in the downtown areas, there's tons of little bakeries and shops, and literally 1 out of 4 businesses sold pizza. It was like it's their McDonald's, and hey, it was all pretty good. I had tried different kinds of pizza, but I ate pizza at least once a day.
Traditional one, the margarita style.
Yep, very basic pizzas.
Fresh mozzarella, basil, fresh tomatoes. That's it.
Yeah, very simple stuff. Or a lot of it's just cheese.
Yeah.
Like cheese and sauce. There you go. And then like your experience.
Some pizza right before started filming today.
Huh?
I'm saying we had some pizza today.
Oh yeah, we did have pizza today. We had good pizza.
Green Lantern.
The other thing, like you said, you bought that one drink from the vending machine and didn't know what it was, so I bought a bottle of water. It's super common there that bottled water is sparkling.
Oh.
Like
yeah,
club soda. No flavor, no sugar.
San Pellegrino.
And then not even that. It looks like a bottle of like Kirkland brand water.
You open it up, it's all frothy. You're like,
yeah,
this is cheap champagne.
But the longer I stayed there, the more I liked it.
Yeah.
And now I don't buy LaCroix brand, but I literally have like a LaCroix problem. I drink at least 2 cans of sparkling water a day.
LaCroix's not bad. It makes an excellent vodka soda.
I bet it does. But I like, there's some flavors of the brand Bubbly I like, and then another brand Waterloo. So thanks to Italy, I got that going for me. But it was a good trip. But Sarah and I are talking about going to the UK and maybe even Northern Europe, like Finland, Norway, Sweden.
All right.
Is it time?
Yeah,
Time to cut.
Let's cut it and start over.
You need one of those boards. Clack.
Do you need the sunglasses at this point? Probably not.
Yeah, I think I might be done with mine. So anyways,
like the head, though. I think the head is cool.
I was just saying I had been to Europe recently, Italy specifically, and then that the wife and I were thinking of soon going to the UK and we were thinking like England, Wales, and then either or Scotland, Ireland.
Nice. I have a similar trip.
Yeah, and all land-based, but then to bring in your...
But this is even... I went to England, Ireland, and Wales when I was 10 years old. But go
nice.
Continue, yeah. Different.
Yeah, I've never been. But like I watch a lot of pool/billiards on YouTube, and then a lot of golf, and a lot of those YouTubers are from the UK, and it's really intrigued me. Like, man, I kind of want to go there now. Like, I never want to travel internationally. Italy demystified some of my worries about language barriers and rude people or whatever. And then so it's like, yeah, like we're thinking probably 2026.
Oh, nice.
You know, and we're going to do it right. Like, save up the money and go. And that way, like, when we're there, like, I don't want to have to worry about, like, is dinner going to be expensive? Like, no, like, we've already planned we're going to spend this money. So let's go do whatever it is that we want to do.
Hopefully the U.S. economy doesn't collapse for that. You can't even get how much is a slice of pizza? Oh, $5,000
Yeah.
US.
Fuck.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Ah.
Maybe I should buy some euros now.
It's kind of funny, like for my Japan trip, I tried like the exchange rate on the dollars to yen was extremely good before I left. It was 160 to 160 yen for a dollar. It dropped down to 150 to 1, but that is still extremely good because it used to be 100 to 1. And in the last year, the dollar appreciated that much. Like, it was super cheap in Japan, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I remember like in the recession of '08, the years after that, there was a period where the Canadian dollar and U.S. dollar were even, or
Yeah,
even the U.S.
that
dollar
par,
was slightly
it was
less.
sick. That never
like,
happened.
like, holy shit.
I remember
Like, that's why we also went to Windsor when we were 19.
because it was $1.60 to 1. Like, you could
Yeah.
get drinks for like $1 in Canada. Oh man. Oh, exchange rates have made drinking for me very easy at some points in my life.
I actually only ever went to Canada 2 or 3 times. And the last time I went was with Sarah, but the last time I went with like buddies to party, it was the worst.
Yeah, I mean, when I went there, it's
Practically
solely
got
for
arrested.
partying. Yeah, it was an eternity ago. It makes me sound really old if I say how long ago it was, so I won't. But, yeah, well, I guess I should have started that secondary 30-minute timer. Maybe I'll set it for like 25 minutes.
I'm looking at a clock.
I guess you want to just do it, or...
I'm looking at a clock.
Yeah, all right. Make sure this thing's recording again. All right. So, yeah, you're saying 2026.
Yeah, we're thinking about
Euro
going to
trip.
the UK.
The last time I was in Europe was, when I was 10 years old. My school district had... I don't know how it was sponsored. It wasn't like through the school, because not like everybody... I mean, it was somewhat through the school, but it was kind of like you could go on a trip to Europe, and me and my mom went with a bunch of other kids from our school district, and I swear I was only 10 years old, so I don't remember much, but I remember the basics. I think we were there for at least 2 weeks, but England, Ireland, and Wales.
Do you remember eating baked beans for fucking breakfast?
No, but I'm in a Facebook group that's like the majority of the members are from the United Kingdom. So they're always like, their breakfast always has baked beans and like tomato slices.
And mushrooms.
Yeah, which is fine. I mean, I have no problem with any of these.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I can't eat baked beans. No, thank you.
I mean, I do like baked beans. I mean,
Yeah, but grilled tomato, I'm good with that.
yeah, I mean, but yeah.
So you have a potential European shit lined up.
Yeah, like I have it booked. I have a 12-night European capitals cruise, May 22nd to June 3rd, 2025. Let me see which boat it is. On the Emerald Princess. It starts from Southampton, London.
Emerald Princess got a green cooter.
Green motif. No, I have no idea. I haven't checked too closely.
Green motif.
So, yeah, it sails out of London. Well, Southampton. I don't know. My one friend was like, London's not even in the water. How can you be sailing out of London? I'm like, well, neither is Tokyo. We sailed from Yokohama, but whatever. So it goes, it starts out of Southampton, goes to Brussels, Belgium, then Rotterdam, Netherlands, and a day at sea, then Oslo, Norway, Gothenburg, Sweden, Copenhagen, Denmark. I've been really looking forward to Copenhagen. Aarhus, Denmark, and then Hamburg, Germany. It says for Berlin, because Berlin's obviously landlocked again. And then you have Paris/Normandy, which also supposedly is landlocked, but I don't know how they do this, man. And then back to, on the morning of the 13th night, back to London. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I haven't booked the airfare yet, but I mean, I think I've already paid for the non-refundable deposit, so Unless the airfare is ridiculous, I'm going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that one.
Sounds like a good time.
Yeah. But so if we wanted to more travel recap or what I would do again differently in Japan is if I was going to Japan again, I wouldn't go during August. People warned me it was hot in August, and I was like, psh. I was like, I'm from Michigan. And they're like, oh, it's humid. I was like, it's like always awful here. It was like excruciatingly hot all the time. Even the subways and the trains had air conditioning, but still, like, so it's like cold. Like they have these little like cloths, kind of like sweat rags that people have in Japan, and they're like common because it's like so hot and sweaty. Everyone's like just dabbing it off. The sun umbrellas are like a thing. Like most of the women in Japan like have like the sun umbrellas. Like I didn't see too many guys with them because they're like, I don't think even do they consider them feminine to have a sun umbrella, and maybe the guys were like, psh, I don't need that. I'll just get burned up. But they're very common. Like the sun umbrellas were very common.
Just sounds like a further testament that men are just fucking morons when it comes to that type of stuff.
You're like, I don't want that umbrella. Psh, get rid of that.
For years at least until my 30s, I was like, sunblock, whatever. And then you get like one righteous sunburn, even though I had other ones before, but I do remember one where like my legs peeled, and it was like ever since then, sunblock, yes please.
one of my first cruises ever. I was in I think it was Cozumel, Mexico. Cozumel is a small island, maybe like 30 miles northeast off the coast of Cancun. And me and my girlfriend at the time were there. This was literally 20 years ago, which is also aging myself, but maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was like 17 years ago. But chill, guys, chill. But we went to the Senior Frogs, which is like this kind of like
I've heard of it.
Bar. But this was after we were at the beach all day, and like I don't know what day on the cruise this was, and if I had burned myself up, like, and this is just like layers of sunburn. But I remember like looking at the pictures, and my skin was just like red, like dark pink. Like I was like, and I remember like,
it's not good.
I was like, this is gonna leave permanent scars.
Like, by now you would have known, but like that could be like, I might have cancer in 3 years.
Yeah, like,
by now, I think it probably would have surfaced itself if you had done that.
I'm pretty sure, like, you know how like regular sunburn, your skin will just kind of like peel off. Then I'm pretty sure it like blistered off. It was terrible. I don't recommend that.
No, never. No, now it's like, if I'm gonna be outside for 30 minutes, like, better put some sunblock. Right. Especially like the back of my neck and the ears.
And that was back when I used to have hair. Like, clearly I have no hair now. Anyone who has seen any of my content knows. But I also do rock hats. Like, you do not go around the Caribbean or any like tropical area if you're bald. Like, you just have your bald head out there. Like, you have to have a hat. Like, even like, it's such like a focal point for the sun. Like, I wouldn't even try. I mean, you could try sunscreen. I mean, if I'm swimming, I'll put it on there. But shit, I still have, even if I'm in the ocean, I'll have my bucket hat on. You gotta have a hat if you have no hair. It's like a known thing.
Yeah. Well, it's like a lot of the work that I've done, work outside all the time, but always in, you never know what type of environment you'll end up in. So it's pants, long sleeves, wearing long sleeve shirts in August when it's 95 degrees outside, but it's for protection. Like, I can drink more water and keep sweating, but I can't keep the poison ivy off my body. I can't keep the sun off me all day. Like, clothing serves a purpose, protection.
Another thing, same point. So in Japan in August, you're like, you know, me, I'm like shorts, short sleeves. Like most of my shirts don't even have sleeves. But you know, see like people in jeans, like long sleeve shirts, like especially municipal workers, police officers, like they're like, and I'm like, dang, like people are just conditioned to like these like warm, like, I'm trying to think where Tokyo is like on like in reference to the equator.
Yeah, like
but it's
latitude.
Like, Yeah, like, I mean, I feel like southern Japan definitely has to be like.
It's
Close
got to
to
be
the
close
equator.
to like.
I mean, wait.
It might all be in subtropic, but not quite tropic.
Yeah.
Like
But I
Florida
know,
is
like,
subtropic.
Yeah, like Tokyo has a winter. Like it gets cold, it snows.
Yeah, well, they have mountains too.
Yeah, I feel like longitude or what is it?
Latitude goes north and south. Longitude
longitude.
goes around the globe.
Yeah, so I feel like Tokyo might be like very similar to Detroit, longitude wise.
Latitude?
Or latitude, sorry.
I gotta look this up.
Because they get winter, they have awful summers. Their summers are worse, but we're close to water. We're close.
We're at 42 degrees roughly north. They're 35, Tokyo. So it's
Like a little south.
that'd be like, well, let's check out.
Like North Carolina. No, wait, farther north.
Let's check out Miami, Florida latitude. Miami's 25.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
North
halfway
Carolina.
between here and Miami.
Yeah.
They're like, let's pick something random. Nashville.
Kentucky? Yeah.
Yeah.
Nashville.
Huh. Yeah, so subtropics are 22.5 degrees to the equator.
So I'm sure
And then
southern.
subtropics, you get about 7 to 10 degrees. And then you're just in northern. I forget the rest.
Arctic,
I went to college a long time ago. I don't use that information much anymore.
College has gone obsolete since I went there.
Boom. Wipe it.
Here we are, just a unpaid travel vlogger. But yeah, looking forward to Europe. I miss Japan. Of the 3 trips of Japan, Hawaii, and Alaska, Alaska's more like natural beauty.
Yeah.
Like places I was in Japan weren't like Caribbean or Mexican Riviera or Hawaii. Hawaii is obviously the most beautiful of them all. Like Hawaii is like fucking amazing. Like we went to all these like parks and these lookout zone areas and scenic outlooks, and it was like didn't even look like realistic. Like it's the same way the first time you go to the Grand Canyon, you're like looking at the Grand Canyon and you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is like mind blowing. Like it just goes on forever. Goes on for like 100 miles of just like endless canyons.
That's
like,
all you see.
Yeah, like when you're on the plane, you don't like get the gravity of it until you're like on a plane flying over and you're like, we've been flying over the Grand Canyon for 45 minutes at 600 fucking miles an hour.
Damn. I've never flown over it. Well, I guess I might have a
it's
chance.
It's not 45 minutes, but this is like the endless canyons and mountains. Like, so I was like, editing content sucks. I was thinking about like how every time the battery dies or it hits like a limit where it'll only let us do a 30-minute max. Aren't we to a point where artificial intelligence can just take all these clips and sync everything together? I mean, probably, but
You'd think so. I mean, we're on the cusp of either we brought out AI too fast and it's an absolute piece of shit, or it's just going to take over, right? It's one or the other. And like, it's great for here, ChatGPT, refine this email for me. Works great for that, but
generative fill. That shit always looks so creepy, man.
well, it
Every
takes
time.
a lot of things out. Like if you have redundancies, it'll be like, oh, cross these words out, do whatever. And I only use it for very sensitive type emails. Like I want to make sure that this is said exactly right. But even only I know exactly what should be said.
Yeah. When you're trying to look like as little of a retard as possible.
Yeah.
Like I really should put a comma there.
Yeah, there are some days where my brain isn't working well, and other days where it's working great.
Yeah.
Like if I don't get much sleep, it's fucking pointless. Especially like from the moment I wake up for about 5 hours, 5 to 6 hours, I feel sharp as a fucking tack. Like I can do anything I could have done before. My brain is working well. But then like once you get into, close to noon or afternoon, because I wake up at 5 a.m. every day, it's like I don't have those keen skills. Like I can still do work, but it's like I will not send anything important off unless I've then looked at it the next day with my fresh eyes. Like, and I've realized this over time, but it's been obvious to me for at least a decade. Like, I'm a morning person. Like, I'm not an evening person. Like, at this point here, no, like, no new creative things or good things are going to come out of my brain. At least not that I perceive. I could be wrong about that, but like work-wise, no. First thing.
Yeah.
and where I work, first thing, everybody just wants like gab. It's like, so I just shut my door. No, I gotta work. We can gab in the afternoon.
Yeah, mine's like, here's like a little bee.
It's a honeybee.
I'm a night person, obviously. I sleep until like, I don't sleep in as late as I used to since I've have a baby. Not as long as I used to, but I used to rock ridiculous hours. I'm just watching this honeybee. Honeybees are supposed to be, the smoke is supposed to pacify honeybees, but
They're honeybees.
yeah.
They're passive anyways.
But to be honest, like if I'm going to do my taxes or some administrative tax, I'm going to wake up. I'm going to get it all done in the morning with a cup of coffee and
You're going to get up when?
10 a.m. maybe,
Okay.
11 a.m.
I just missed that part.
Yeah. But when I used to trade a lot of stocks, I would try to get up pre-market. It's kind of irresponsible to not be awake during all of the trading hours if you have like a bunch of money in the stock market. So in those days, now I'm not as tied to the market. So this bee is really something.
It's not going to bother you, I promise. Well, it might get in your beer, but no, like this time of year.
You're supposed to go to the hive at this time of night.
At this time of year, all bees, whether or not it's bees or wasps,
They die off.
They're in their last moments, and they literally know it. So they're just looking for whatever else could possibly be a food source, because all their food is
Honey,
gone.
water, the hive is dead. Yeah.
So they just get a little crazy.
Nate is my environmental sciences scientist.
Yeah, environmental scientist. So I know, but that's a honeybee. No big deal. You could tell because it's fuzzy. If that was a yellow jacket, fuck that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Because they're just angry regardless. They're just angry motherfuckers.
Carnivores.
Carnivores. I don't know if they actually eat meat or not, but they are mean as fuck. They will sting you
We'll just go with it.
because they can.
These rely on simple sugars, C6H12O6. The simple carbohydrate, the building blocks of life.
Mm-hmm.
I took organic chemistry like a few years ago.
Nice. A
Maybe
few
like-
years. A
maybe
few
like-
years ago.
How many elections ago? Like 5.
Okay, there we go. Like a few years ago.
5 or 6 elections. Presidential elections. Not talking about. I was trying to think of an election that was shorter than 4 years, but not much of a political guy.
I tried to impromptu think of other elections that would be more forthcoming or more frequent, and I was like, I don't know any.
Coach.
None.
Election. Coach of the intramural softball team.
Right. Or the Grammys. I would assume that's kind of an election. It's fixed anyways, right? All things are fixed.
Yeah.
The whole world is fixed, right? No matter how much complaining and advocating you do, the powers that be are going to do what the powers that be do. And I'm
be it
saying
so.
everything's fixed, but it's like,
And be it so, in our fixed world, we can still have our public access to our podcast. We can broadcast shit on the internet here, whereas like if we were in China, we couldn't do this.
yeah.
Like my YouTube channel, like I look at the analytics and I can see all over the world, and it's usually directly proportionate to, at least for the travel videos, that like most of the, or at least the landing videos where it's just like the planes landing, where there's no commentary necessary. Now those things transcend language. So, countries like India that have like 1.8 billion people. Like India's like one of my largest countries of viewership. Like
Wow.
the U.S. Now that I focused, I've refocused like hard on just on doing cruises and cruise videos. So a lot of my viewers now are like 50% of my viewers are from the United States. But back when it was just like mainly landing videos, like a massive amount comes from India, just because the U.S. has a population of like a little over 300 million, right?
Right.
Whereas India's population is 6 times 6 U.S.'s. So it's like, even if people just like blindly find my channel, like there's 6 times more people, and their population is much younger than the U.S. where we got a lot of baby boomers here. Their population, they're moving in, like, the people like currently in the workforce, their like population of millennials is like a monstrous part of their like it's got to be like, it's probably more like 50%, where like what if millennials probably make up like 25% of the U.S.
I'm not.
I'm just
seen
talking
the
out of
stat.
my ass, but
Yeah,
I just
not
know
seen
in
the stat, but I don't doubt it.
the newer, more developing nations have like younger working force.
Yeah. Well, so there's definitely a trend in America, at least that I see in the cultures I interact with. Like, so, I work for essentially a public entity. My hallway alone, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8 individuals on my hallway. Only 2 of them have children, and we are all. Well, there's one person who's younger. He's 30. The rest of us are over 40 years old. Only 2 of them have children.
Dang.
Right? I think. Yeah, sure. Maybe we do have higher education, so we may not represent everybody. But a lot of places I go, I see that millennials, even those like the because we're kind of like elder millennial, you could say, just not having kids. And I look at my nieces and nephews. I got 3 nieces and 1 nephew, ages from 15 to 19, and even where they are, like they're not even thinking about relationships yet. Like one of them has a boyfriend, one of the nieces has a boyfriend. None of them are dating anyone else. They're not even thinking about jobs or families or anything like that, whereas my grandmother had my dad when she was 16.
Yeah, like my parents, like my parents, my grandparents, like my dad has like 6 siblings. My mom has like 8 siblings. So obviously, like,
And then how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have a brother and a sister.
So they had 3. So they pretty much had half of what their parents
Yeah.
had,
And
and
now-
we're having half or zero of
then
what
of
our
this
parents
group,
had.
I have the only child of this group, so it's like, yeah, it just keeps, and it's going back to Japan because I can just keep making these segues. Japan is one of the only countries in the world that has negative population growth. That means more people are dying than are being born.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, and it's like a true. So it's like,
And they're worried about it.
yeah, no, and they want, like, there's like ads like, they're like, go fuck somebody,
Yeah. And it's like, well, give me some money and then maybe I will.
You're like, they're like like.
It's
When
really
I was in
idiocracy.
Japan, like, how Japan's stock market's always been fucked, like pretty much
No.
my entire lifetime. It's like been a thing. Their economy's like always been my entire lifetime. I was in Japan, like I was like, this is a computer simulation because I'm a big stock market guy. Japan had its worst day ever in like 20 years while I was in, like, the first day I was in Tokyo. Like, their stock market, their NIKKEI, whatever their main index, was down like 10% in one day, which was like,
Whoa.
or it might even been more down
10%.
more than that. Like, that was worse than September 11th. That was worse than the pandemic. Like, I remember all these the worst trading days, the financial crisis, September 11th, and when they announced the pandemic. Those 3 days, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, just got fucking murdered. Like, but, like, even if the NASDAQ goes down like 5 or 6% in one day, that's like catastrophic.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. This was like, their market was down like 10%. Like one day I was there, like, I didn't even know. I was just like at the bars, like, I was just doing my thing. Like, everything seemed normal, but they were having, like, I don't even know why. Oh, I think it was a financial slowdown. And it was probably in reaction to like a rate correction in the U.S. I remember I looked it up afterwards, but it's kind of funny. Like, the U.S. economy affects the rest of the world, like, in ways you'd be surprised by.
And that's the other thing, like, so we're having, as Americans, less people. And then there's this entire influence that America has on the world. And I definitely feel like, spoiler alert, also feel free to clip this out. I feel like that's like a big reason Republicans are pushing like the remove abortion. Like, they just want more fucking people. Like, it's a way. There's another thought process behind that statement there, but it's like they want a solid workforce, and they look at countries, say like China and India, where there is like a fucking billion people.
Very solid population growth.
And literally the people here that are normally having babies are not.
Sure. Well,
and that has long-term ramifications in the future, because who's going to run the stock market in 30 years, in 40 years? Like, why the fuck is our president 75?
Clearly, artificial intelligence is going to run the stock market. If it's not already running it right now, I would make stock, like, quant analysts and all these people, like, like, I feel like once 20, 30 years by now, artificial intelligence is pretty powerful right now. And I'm not just saying it's on, taking other people's art and creating bullshit art out of it, but I feel like it's not going to be too long before, AI can beat the stock market.
Well, for the stock market, there was a whole thing that, from my memory and experiences, started in the 90s, where algorithms really changed the stock market. Right, like a computer could trade for you based on data it's getting.
They have bots like that right now.
And they were bots, but they didn't have artificial intelligence. They were just literally like yes/no flow charts, and then if the yeses all lined up, buy or sell. But now it's like the AI is going to maybe try to predict.
I've looked at AI bots,
right, and that's really scary.
Like, you can buy AI. You can like get into like one of these online trading bot things. They wanted like $15,000 or something to use their software, like minimum. Like, it was like super expensive.
Did they give you any guarantee?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't try to do it, but I was like, I'm not paying that.
Sell your car, buy it.
Like, fuck that.
Alan's riding the bus because he bought a $15,000 AI trading platform.
I'm just gonna try to do it myself and just go broke, whatever.
Yeah. No, it's nuts, and I don't know what it means, and honestly, I don't care to learn. And the apathetic part of my approach could be the demise of not just myself, but everybody, because I feel like a lot of people might be that way. Like, so I don't want to talk about the election, regardless of that. I can see what everybody else sees, but it's like, it's the last thing I want to talk about, engage in, because of the ridiculousness of it.
Yeah, I wouldn't worry about the election. Anyway, all future podcasts will probably be generative AI versions of me and you. It's like, those, what do they call those, real fakes or whatever they call them. Just take AI, analyze the past 2 podcasts and generate a new one where me and Nate just talk about the top podcast subjects, and I would listen to it. I'd be like, all right.
I would too, because I also feel like I'm a very introspective person. I feel like it would give insights to myself that, like, a computer analyzed my personality, then generated this content. And I feel like I could either be A1, very happy with it, or B2, just absolutely disgusted. Like, that's the persona I put forward.
So then this is super interesting. Oh, this is why this gets really interesting. So, I have probably at least 100 vlogs on my YouTube channel. And if you go in, Google has a feature where it can give you like a summary of the video generated by AI. And I'll like read some of mine. It'll be like, a traveler goes to Tokyo and goes and drinks and goes to bars and eats. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. So when this AI gets better, I can have it go and like summarize all my vlogs, and there's probably enough content where it can like not like
make a documentary
like create content from basically my perspective through how I think, and I don't know. I was like, and especially from the editing perspective, I feel like through video editing, AI could do a lot. Another thing is through Adobe Premiere Pro, you can you can click on the video and tell it to analyze, and it'll take all the audio like in a WAV file from my video file. It'll send it out to Adobe's filter to their servers. It won't do it locally, and it'll use their like server farm to break down, and then it'll create an entire transcript of everything I said. Then you can go and you can click on a word and like delete it, and it'll delete that out of the video. So you could go and delete all the uhs, ums, all the filler words out of a video like that. I don't think they have that perfect now, but when I used to do poker videos, which were way shorter, like 10, 15-minute videos, all the filler words like ums and all this stuff, like when I first used to edit, I would go through and remove all of them.
Which is a lot of work.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah, you spend hours on a 20-minute video.
Because it's down to like microseconds.
Uh-huh.
But doing it in a video like this would just be like way too much human labor. But if artificial intelligence did it, which it could, yeah, it could do it for sure. So they also have a thing where it's like, same thing with audio. They can remove all like the blips, like you can remove background sound. You can do all sorts of crazy shit with AI, but it's a little sloppy. Like, so I usually don't use it. Like in my last Amari Japan video, like I'll be like on a suspension bridge and there's like cars going by. So there's a lot of like ambient, like loud ambient sounds, and I'm still doing like live voiceover over it. And I'm like, remove all the background sounds, and it does okay, but it still sounds like digital and glitchy.
Yeah.
So I never end up. I haven't done it yet.
Just, like you wouldn't want to publish it. It's not that great.
It sounds like too glitchy. Like I would rather have like the car sounds. Like I'd rather have sounds of a roaring.
Yeah.
Cars going by than like digital clicks and pops that just sound.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sound natural.
Yep, but they're training it all now. Like we are training AI, and I think the next 5 years are pivotal because like everything moves faster exponentially through technology, and that's just kind of what we've observed over time. And I already think we're within the 5 years. We're probably 2 years into that 5-year window, where like 3 years from now, AI will absolutely change everything. It's already changed how teachers grade test papers and essays from students, even students as young as middle school, because everyone tries to cheat. We know that. We were all in high school. People were cheating all the time. Not that you or I personally cheated, but you do go talk to your classmates. You knew that a handful of them were cheating.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so like just imagine being a school teacher where you already get shit pay. And then like, okay, yeah, the student turned it in, but like you read it and you're like, there's no way a 12-year-old or a 13-year-old wrote this.
Yeah, that's ChatGPT. But I was like, back in my day, I don't want to date myself again, but all the kids have smartphones. I'm sure you're not allowed to have smartphones in, elementary through high school. Who the hell knows? But we were allowed to have our graphing calculators, our TI-82s,
put formulas in them.
TI-82s, TI-83s, TI-85s. I don't want to date myself again, but
those calculators still exist.
You could, yeah, they still use them. You could program in like cheat sheets into the calculators. Yep. Like I remember doing it line by line on like, it's like very similar to basic coding. Like I know I'm like,
it's easy enough.
Yeah.
So when I was in college, taking like say Calc 2.
Yeah, we weren't allowed to.
We used our calculators in class, like our graphing calculators, but when it came time for the test,
you had to use the basic.
Yes.
And so I had a basic one.
Like a standard scientific that had no programming.
Yeah.
No memory. It's like, well, why in the world did I have to buy this $200 calculator if I can't use it in the exam?
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I wasn't really inclined to cheating just because I've always been a anxiety-ridden basket case, so the handful of times in my life I ever did cheat on a test, it was like I went to Christian school, and every Friday we had to have memorized Bible verses. So sometimes I might write a few key words of the verse on my forearm, under my sleeve,
Yeah.
right? Just to like, oh yeah, that's right, that's what I'm supposed to write. Like not the whole thing. But that was kind of stupid. That's the only way I really cheated. Like, I'm cheating on a straight memorization about a thing that is silly to make a human memorize anyways. Like, you making me memorize Bible verses isn't going to strengthen my relationship with Christ. I guarantee you.
And then, like, under the same thing, at Michigan State, I remember, where I went to undergrad, we were allowed, like, some courses or some exams, like, we were allowed to
Take
bring,
notes.
like, a cheat sheet.
Yep.
Like, we were allowed to bring one. So then you would
You
try
write
to,
as
like,
small as possible.
Yeah, I would try to copy, like, the entire book. The writing is, like, as small as, like...
I've been there.
Like, what is the font? The font is 1. Like,
I'm surprised somebody broke out like a magnifying glass to read their own notes. Because
Well,
like
if
they
you
say, like, you're allowed one piece of paper.
sometimes it was like you're only allowed a note card.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's a note card. Sometimes it's 8.5 by 11. But you're allowed to bring this. And but if you think about the whole learning process, you creating that sheet is like instilling it into you, and that's more of the learning process than the actual exam. And
To this day, when I have to learn something for work or something I know is very important, as I read the document, I start making my own outline, writing down things, because then that way I'm sure it takes me 3 times as long to read it, but I've also repeated it, and I'm way more inclined to have learned it.
so
So it's a good strategy.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
those teachers like allowing you to do that, they're kind of like, joke's on you. You've learned it.
they're like, you were trying to cheat, but you learned anyway. Asshole.
Yeah.
So my timer thing has 1 minute left on this thing. This is
According
like
to
3
mine, we
minutes.
should have 5.
All right, we can go.
We'll see what happens. And we should be like wrapping up at this point
Yeah.
too. We're getting close to 2 hours.
Nobody's actually watched this 2 hours in, and if you are, let me. If you've made it this far, let me send you 1 Bitcoin. Just kidding. You ain't getting shit.
Just kidding. No, if you've made it this far, visit soundcloud.com and then search Nate Jesse, and then you will hear a lot of very amateurishly recorded music, but it's original music, and I like it. That doesn't mean you will, but if you do, click subscribe and follow. Comment. That's the greatest thing about SoundCloud. SoundCloud is the worst platform to actually listen to music, but it's great if you're in the music community because you can comment even at a particular second of a song. Like if there was a particular note or transition you liked, you can comment on it. That's the great thing. But the rest of it's garbage.
And
Boo.
I'll obviously put a link to Nate's SoundCloud in this channel. And one of my most successful vlog videos was the Norwegian Bliss. I believe it's Mexican Riviera. I use Nate's, I believe it's like Trash Island or something.
Probably, yeah.
And in that series of vlogs has at least 20,000 views or something. And I use your music often in that one. And it's nice. Like, it's nice to use music that's not like copyrighted.
That helps a lot.
And because YouTube really fucks with you hard with the, they're trying to, like, if they detect someone else's music in one of my vlogs, if it's like 10 or 15 seconds, they don't care. But if it's longer than that, it gets flagged. Video can't be monetized. It's not, I make like 10 cents. Like, I barely make anything through monetization through this anyway. But it sucks if a video is doing well and it can't be monetized. So.
Yeah. So I've also heard from other YouTube creators that there are just people out there that make copyright claim flags on every video they come across, even if they don't own it, because then there's still a chance that YouTube will side with them and give them your money. Even if they don't even own the music, they'll do it. And they think a lot of it are bots. And once a bot gets a reply from YouTube, then the human takes over. And then they try to take your, $50 that you might have made on that video.
Yeah, I think this happened to me one time. Like, on my Japan cruise, I think it was like on my first day of my Japan cruise, there was a guy who's like an Elvis impersonator. And in the vlog, I had, at the end of the video, I had like, you know, like a minute or so of him singing. Some other guy who wasn't him claimed it. So what I did was instead was I just went in and retroactively deleted that entire
Segment.
spot. Segment. Because I was like, this adds nothing anyway, so who the fuck
Yeah,
cares?
you thought it was cool. Somebody else made a big deal about it. And you're like, well, fuck you.
Yeah, go fuck you. You ain't getting shit.
Yeah, click it off.
Yeah. Well, here we are, guys. It's the end of our second vlog. Still learning. Still in the frame there. Oh, the lighting looks good. But, one thing I wanted to close, like one thought on Japan was like I had severe jet lag by the time, like the 26 hours basically, like the 13-hour time difference, 13-hour flight. It's when I had lots of problems like falling asleep, and generally I'll have like Benadryl or melatonin on me. So I was trying to find melatonin or Benadryl in Japan. I could not find it. It was like, not to mention, first of all, like the pharmacies, like everything's in Japanese. I mean, it's expected. Why would it ever be in English?
Right.
And the language. Second of all, how Nate was saying about the language barrier, everyone's like, "Don't worry, 50% of people speak English." I was like, "Okay, I should be able to survive that." Google Translate carried me, but I feel like it was more like 20%. Even in like major areas like Tokyo, which is like, half the people are tourists probably. But
that reminds me. You mentioned pharmacies. I did go to a pharmacy in Italy. My mom was having really bad back pain, so I went to buy Motrin, and I looked up like what Italians call Motrin, and they call it ibuprofen, however you say that in Italy. And I tried to say the word, and the lady's like, so I showed her my phone. She's like, "Oh," and she went and got it.
Yeah.
It was 3,600 milligram tablets of Motrin. So, like, here, 600 milligram tablet is a prescription there. You could just buy it.
Yeah.
30 of them was like $5. Like, my mom wanted me to go back and buy a bunch more, and I was like, no, we're not poor. You can buy Motrin back home. We count this as a blessing that we got it cheap, but, like, we're not going to bring back 200 Motrin tablets from Italy.
Another thing, because the pharmacies, like, were also super interesting. So, like, a lot of things, like things like cough medicine, like NyQuil and stuff, is, like, illegal in Japan. Like, you can't get NyQuil in Japan.
Wild.
Also, like, I couldn't find Benadryl. I couldn't find melatonin, so I couldn't basically put myself to sleep. But they also had a lot of different things that, like, they don't have in U.S. Like I was looking for something like Imodium one day. Their Imodium, it came in, like, tabs. Like, remember those dissolvable strips for, like, Listerine? You put them on your tab and they dissolve? Their Imodium was like that, which was like...
That's actually really nice.
Maybe, like, in the FDA in the U.S. hasn't approved drugs that you just dissolve on your tongue like that, but there they had them. Like you could... So I was like, this is super convenient. You just, like, you don't have to break it down. You don't have to swallow anything. It just dissolves in your mouth.
Recently, I've fully discovered that I'm lactose intolerant, so I take dairy pills before I eat ice cream or something like that, right?
Yeah, lactose,
and then I discovered that they make dairy pills you can chew. You don't have to have water. And I was like, that was kind of revolutionary. Like, so the whole dissolving on your tongue thing, like if you could have a dose of Tylenol where you didn't have to swallow a horse pill, that would be sweet. Now, would it taste bad? I don't know.
Yeah. And I feel like in the hospital, they do. Like, you can get all of these drugs, like, in a vial or as a tincture. Like, or as an injector, like in the hospital, but just the FDA is probably like, Americans aren't ready for this yet.
No.
Americans would be like, oh, a bottle of ibuprofen. They'd like unscrew it, drink it. Oh, no, I'm dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, this one bottle has 500 servings. I didn't know that.
Oh, gulp. Or they drink it and then they look and they're like, well, I'm fucked.
Well, kidney failure, here we come.
You're like, I can't feel my hands anymore.
Nope. We may cut this out. I'll leave it up to you. When I was in high school, I took like 3 800 milligram Motrin out of boredom. I was floating. Literally, I felt like my feet were not on the ground. I've never done anything that irresponsible ever again. I luckily didn't have any weird side effects that I'm aware of to this day. But that was wild. I literally felt like I was walking on air.
I feel like I go through a lot of Kirkland ibuprofen, 200 milligrams, and I've been getting better now, but I'm like an old man now. But I feel like when it was bad, I would take just because I was like sore and like beat up, like just as being old. Like I'm not as old as whatever, but I would take like 800 milligrams. Like I think the maximum dose you're supposed to take is 800 3 times a day, which is 2,400 total.
I took that at once.
Yeah, I don't. But so
I'm a moron.
Yeah, how ibuprofen works is it's an anti-inflammatory. So I think it so your capillaries are what is the word? Not the reverse of restricts. Dilates your capillaries or something like that. I don't know.
I'm not a doctor.
So yeah, I wouldn't take that much though.
No, I would never do it again.
Yeah. You're like,
I was 16 at a basketball tournament.
Like, what do we got here? Oh, well.
And bored. I was one of those dumb kids that I'll take anything to get high. Thank God I survived.
Perhaps we'll delete this. Yes, perhaps.
So, well, thanks again. This is podcast number 2. Perhaps there will be a podcast 3 in less than 3 years from now.
Yeah, I mean, if the gap between podcast 1 and 2 is 2 years, I was thinking, what is that? It's like, what do you call that one curve? Oh man, and it's like it's now a stock market thing. My vocabulary is destroyed from drinking again. All right, I'm gonna name the pattern, and it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, 7. Wait, 3, 5, 8, 11. What do you call that? It's like the
exponential.
Yeah, it's not exponential. It's there's a term for it, but they use it in stock market analytics for some things.
I mean, exponential essentially squares every time.
Yeah.
You go 1, 2, 4, 16, 32.
Because it's like super basic, and I'm like a math guy. My brain is just this bourbon is killing me.
I'm not a math guy.
0, 1, 3. Oh, it's 0, 1. I think it's 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5. Fibonacci, dude.
Ah.
Fibonacci. Yeah, Fibonacci 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you just keep adding the previous numbers together. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So that on a Fibonacci sequence, they use that. They use it both in forward and reverse,
Wild. Well, I think next time, if it happens sooner than later, a big thing for me is just, I don't want to get into it now because at this point it's I want to come back with a fresh brain, but aging has been taking up a lot of my life, just getting older.
Oh, yeah.
I just celebrated a monumental birthday where I've officially entered midlife. You all can figure out what number that is on your own. But I'm officially in midlife. I am now actually in a government-protected category of age where I can no longer be discriminated on a job application because of my age.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yep. If you're under that special age, they can discriminate you for lack of experience. But now I'm at the point where they can't say you're too old to do the job.
Well, I guess I should open with my age.
But here we are. That's something that's taken up a lot of my time, along with similar feelings of every day is just a wash, rinse, repeat. But hey, there are things that I'm not alone with, and perhaps it'll give us motivation to see you for number 3.
All right, guys. Well, here's me and Nate. It's let's see, where did we start at? Oh, it's about 2 hours later. Started at about 5:30. It's 7:36 p.m. And
yeah.
Thanks for watching. This vlog was a decent recap of my Japan trip and
little commentary on my side about some anecdotal, relatable stories, and definitely a bit more subdued than last time. But we'll see where the future takes us.
Hopefully the AI will be taking us there, and I won't have to edit any of these videos in the future. But
bingo.
I'll probably this video will probably take me a week or 10 days to edit. It shouldn't be too bad. It'll be way easier than a traditional vlog.
Yeah. So you'll be seeing this early October video by Thanksgiving.
Hopefully in by 2025.
Yeah. No, so I feel about it. Like I start a song, I'll have this done in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
2 months later, song's done.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching, and
Peace.
good night.
Whoop.
Whoop.